Light. Blinding crystalline light that cut through Garrett Callahan's eyelids like a plasma torch through hull plating. He tried to move. His chest screamed in protest. Every nerve ending in his body fired at once white-hot agony that should have killed him. He forced his eyes open. 7 faces stared down at him. Not human faces, obsidian skin that reflected light like polished stone. Chitinous plates that clicked with each breath. Eyes like liquid mercury. Wings that shimmered with colors Earth had no names for. These were the leaders of 7 civilizations spanning 12 solar systems. And they were standing around his hospital bed like he was some kind of miracle. At the center of them all stood Princess Lyra Velshara. Her pale blue skin looked almost translucent in the medical bay's harsh light. Silver eyes, 4-pupiled alien beautiful, were red-rimmed from crying. Dried tear tracks marked her cheeks. Her 4-fingered hand gripped his with surprising strength, the hand of someone who had not let go in a very long time. "He wakes," she breathed. Relief flooded her melodic voice. "You have been unconscious for 14 days. Your heart stopped 3 times during surgery." 14 days. Garrett's hand moved to his chest. His fingers found smooth scar tissue where there should have been a hole the size of a dinner plate. "How?" The word came out as a rasp. "Your species may have absurd regenerative capabilities." A reptilian physician said, scales iridescent in the light. "But even you needed help. Princess Lyra gave you her blood. It created a resonance reaction, something we had never seen." A memory surfaced, sharp and sudden. The diplomatic gala. Lyra giving her speech about peace and unity. The flash of movement in his peripheral vision. His body moving before his brain could process. Training taking over where thought failed. The plasma bolt. Garrett remembered the heat, like holding your hand over a star. The smell of his own flesh burning. Lyra's scream cutting through the chaos, her face so young, so terrified as she caught him. And then darkness. "You saved my life," Lyra said. Not a question. A statement of fact. "The assassin's bolt would have killed me instantly. 14 days ago you threw yourself between me and death without hesitation." An elegant being with moth-like wings stepped forward, Empress Lithara of the Crystalline Dominion. "You prevented more than one death, Garrett Callahan. You prevented a war. Princess Lyra's assassination would have collapsed the Treaty of 7 Stars. Our sectors would have burned, billions would have died." Garrett closed his eyes. Billions. The number was too abstract. He didn't save billions. He saved one person. A 28-year-old princess who reminded him too much of his daughter, who had the same stubborn tilt to her chin, who laughed at his terrible jokes, who asked him to teach her how to survive outside palace walls. Sarah would have been Lyra's age now. Would have been. "I just reacted," Garrett said. The words felt inadequate. "Saw someone in danger, did what needed doing." A being that appeared to be made entirely of flowing water laughed. "Just reacted," he says. "Human, what you call reacting is what we call incomprehensible bravery." A 4-armed creature added, "Your species lacks natural armor, no energy shields, no enhanced density bones, yet you threw yourself in front of a weapon designed to pierce starship hulls. To protect someone you had only known for 3 days." Empress Lithara continued. 3 days. Had it only been 3 days, Garrett met Lyra's eyes. "She's my friend. That's what humans do for friends." The assembled royalty exchanged glances. Something passed between them that Garrett couldn't read. A crystalline warrior with obsidian skin and golden eyes leaned forward. "Commander Vax." The medical scans revealed something else. When the blast hit you, your cells began dying and regenerating simultaneously. You created a buffer zone of constantly cycling tissue that absorbed the energy. Your pain tolerance is also, he searched for words, disturbing. Garrett shrugged despite the pain. Marine Corps teaches you to push through it. Mental discipline. There is nothing basic about it, Vax said firmly. Your species regularly endures conditions that would kill most others. Extreme temperatures, toxic atmospheres, radiation exposure. We call it Tuesday, Garrett said. Old marine humor that had gotten him through too many wars. Lyra squeezed his hand tighter. The Seven Kingdoms have agreed to offer you anything within our power. Wealth, land, a planet, citizenship, technology, title. Name it, and it is yours. Garrett looked at each of the 7 leaders in turn. They were offering him the universe. He looked back at Lyra. I appreciate the offers, but I just want to keep doing my job. Vax's golden eyes widened. Your job, you nearly died. Garrett managed a small smile. Protecting her, if she'll have me. Lyra's eyes glistened with fresh tears. Always. The word hung in the air between them. A promise. A bond forged in plasma fire and shared blood. Then I believe, Empress Lithara said, that we should hear how this extraordinary human came to be lying in this medical bay. Lyra settled into the chair beside Garrett's bed and began to speak. And Garrett closed his eyes and let her voice carry him back. Day 1 started with politics. Garrett hated politics. New Geneva Station hung in perfect orbit between Earth and 7 homeworlds, a massive construct of metal and crystal and technologies Garrett couldn't understand. Neutral ground, the one place where civilizations that had spent 200 years trying to annihilate each other could meet without starting another war. Garrett stood in the observation deck watching Earth rotate slowly beneath them. Blue and white and green home. A world that had been alone in the universe until 10 years ago. A world still trying to figure out its place in a galaxy that viewed humanity as primitives. Mr. Callahan. The voice was soft, musical, nervous. Garrett turned to face Princess Lyra Velshara for the first time. She stood in the doorway wearing formal diplomatic robes that shimmered with embedded light threads. Her pale blue skin seemed to glow in the station's artificial light. Silver eyes with 4 pupils studied him with obvious curiosity. She was tall by human standards, close to 6 feet, but carried herself with the uncertain posture of someone still growing into authority. The briefing had told Garrett the basics. 28 years old, 3rd daughter of Emperor Velshara, not in line for the throne, known as a reformist, sent to New Geneva because she was in the cold language of royal politics expendable. The briefing hadn't mentioned that she looked terrified. Princess, Garrett said. He didn't bow. Americans didn't bow. Garrett Callahan, Marine Corps retired. I'll be handling your personal security for the duration of the summit. Lyra stepped fully into the observation deck. You are 62 years old. The file said you retired from active service 5 years ago. Most of my security detail are in their physical prime. Why did Terran Defense Solutions send someone past retirement age? Garrett had expected this question. Because I'm very good at keeping people alive, and I'm old enough not to be distracted by palace intrigue or your pretty eyes. Lyra blinked, then laughed. A real laugh. That is refreshingly honest. I do honest, Princess. I don't do pretty lies. Good. She moved to stand beside him at the window. I have enough people telling me pretty lies. I need someone who will tell me the truth, even when it is ugly. Garrett studied her profile. Truth is, this summit is a powder keg. Treaty renewal should be routine, but 3 kingdoms want to renegotiate. 2 are discussing withdrawal. Your empire is the only thing holding this together, and you're here because I am the 3rd daughter, Lyra finished. Not the heir, not even the spare, just available. A symbol that costs my father nothing if I fail. Her voice was steady, but Garrett heard the hurt underneath. Princess, in my experience, the people who get sent into the fire are usually the ones tough enough to survive it. Lyra turned to look at him. Her 4-pupiled eyes searched his face. You lost someone. Recently. I can feel it. Garrett stiffened. Feel it? Valethrons have empathic sensitivity. We sense strong emotions. It is not telepathy, but feelings. She paused. Yours are very loud. Grief, guilt, anger, all wrapped around someone you could not protect. For a moment, Garrett considered walking out. This was too personal. Sarah had been dead for 5 years, and the wound still felt fresh. But something in Lyra's eyes stopped him. She wasn't prying, she was relating. "My daughter," Garrett said. The words came out rough. "Sarah. She was 16, wrong place, wrong time. Terrorist attack at Denver spaceport 5 years ago. 347 dead. She wanted to be a Marine like her old man. Never got the chance." Lyra's hand moved to her chest, a Valathron gesture of sympathy. "I lost my brother, Prince Darian, 5 years ago as well. He was the mediator, the one who could talk to anyone. Someone poisoned his wine. We never found who. They never even recovered his body. My father's investigation died with him." They stood in silence, watching Earth turn beneath them. Two people from different worlds, different species united by the same grief. "I am sorry," Garrett said finally. "As am I." Another silence, more comfortable this time. "I need to ask you something," Lyra said, "and I need the truth." "That's what I'm here for. Teach me." Garrett frowned. "Teach you what? How to survive." Lyra turned to face him fully. "I have been raised in a palace, educated in philosophy and diplomatic protocol. I speak 9 languages. I can identify poison by scent, but I have never been in a real fight, never had to defend myself, and I feel very unprepared for what is coming." "What makes you think something is coming?" "Because I am expendable, Mr. Callahan, and expendable people make excellent martyrs." The words were cold, calculated, and absolutely correct. Garrett looked at this princess, this young woman who was starting to remind him too much of Sarah, and made a decision. "All right, I'll teach you. Not because you ordered me to, because you asked, and because you're right." Lyra's entire posture shifted. Relief flooded her face. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. I'm a Marine. We don't do gentle." "Good. I have had gentle my entire life. I need real." Garrett extended his hand. "Then we have a deal, princess." Lyra stared at his hand for a moment, then reached out with her 4-fingered hand and grasped his. Her skin was cooler than human, smoother, but her grip was strong. A deal. Neither of them knew it then, but that handshake sealed both their fates. The first lesson came that night. Garrett found Lyra in the training facility at 0200 hours. She wore simple exercise clothes, held a training blade in an awkward grip. "You're holding it like a dinner knife," he said. Lyra jumped. The blade clattered to the floor. "You move very quietly for someone your age." "Marines don't retire, we just get quieter." Garrett picked up the blade. "Let me see your stance." They worked for an hour. Basic stance, basic movement, nothing fancy, just fundamentals that kept people alive. "Why are you helping me?" Lyra asked during a water break. "Your contract is security, not training." Garrett took a long drink. "Because you remind me of someone. Someone who wanted to be more than what people expected. Someone who deserved the chance to prove herself." "Your daughter?" "Yeah, Sarah. Stubborn as hell. Refused to accept limitations. Proved everyone wrong. Won the state judo championship when she was 15. Would have made a damn fine Marine. She would be proud to see you teaching someone else." Garrett felt something crack in his chest. Not pain. Something older. Grief wearing itself down to memory. "Maybe. Come on, let's work on your reaction time." They trained until 0400 hours. When Lyra finally left, she was exhausted but moving with more confidence. Garrett watched her go and felt something he hadn't felt in 5 years. Purpose. Garrett was reviewing security footage when his tablet chimed. Encrypted message. He opened it. A single image. An envelope. Black as void. Sealed with red wax, addressed to Princess Lyra in flowing script his translator couldn't parse. "That is old Valathron," Lyra said quietly. She'd approached without sound, learning. The ceremonial tongue of the imperial bloodline. Only members of the royal family are taught to read it. Garrett handed her the tablet. "What does it say?" Lyra's face went pale, actually bloodless pale. "It says, 'The third daughter dies at sunset on the third day. The Empire will thank us.'" Garrett's instincts kicked in immediately. Where did this come from? My quarters. Someone bypassed security. Someone with access. Garrett was already pulling up security logs. Princess, this is a credible threat. We need to inform Commander Vax evacuate you. No. Garrett stopped. Excuse me. No evacuation, no public alarm. Lyra's jaw was set. If I run the treaty, discussions collapse. If I show fear, my empire looks weak. Whoever sent this wins without firing a shot. Princess, someone just threatened to kill you. Yes, which means we have 2 days to find them. She met his eyes. You said you would teach me to survive. Surviving means thinking, planning, using your enemy's confidence against them. Garrett studied her. This wasn't the uncertain princess from yesterday. This was someone finding her spine. It was exactly what Sarah would have done. All right, then we do this smart. We investigate quietly, but if things go sideways, you follow my lead. No arguments. Agreed. Agreed. They spent day 2 hunting shadows, security footage, entry logs, personnel files. Lyra used her diplomatic access. Garrett used his investigative experience. They found 3 anomalies, 2 Valathron guards with gaps in their service records, financial transactions that didn't match their profiles. And 1 encrypted communication burst from Prince Theron's quarters to an unknown location outside the station. Your brother? Garrett said carefully. Could he? Yes. Lyra's voice was flat. He wants the throne. I am an obstacle. It would be efficient to remove me here, away from palace politics, where an assassination could be blamed on treaty opponents. That's cold. That is monarchy, Mr. Callahan. She looked at the data. Theron is strong, ruthless, everything a wartime emperor needs, but war ended 10 years ago. Peace requires different strength. I threaten his power by suggesting there might be another way. So what do we do? Lyra straightened. We do what you said. We think, plan, use his confidence against him. Theron expects me to run or die. I will do neither. I will attend the gala tomorrow night. I will give my speech. And when his assassin comes, because one will come, we will be ready. You're using yourself as bait. I am refusing to be a victim. She turned to face him. Survival is not passive. It is choice, action, defiance. Will you help me, Garrett? It was the first time she'd used his given name. Yes, I'll help you. The gala was scheduled for 1900 hours. Garrett spent the day preparing, positioning himself with perfect line of sight to Lyra, identifying exits, calculating firing angles. He also did something he hadn't done in 5 years. He wrote a letter, actual paper and pen, old-fashioned, permanent. Sarah, I don't know if you can hear me. Don't know if I believe in that stuff, but just in case. I met someone who reminds me of you. Stubborn and brave and too smart for her own good. She's in danger and won't back down. You would have liked her. I failed you 5 years ago. Wasn't there when you needed me. Can't change that. But I can be here now. For her. Maybe that's all any of us can do. Try again. Try better. If things go bad tonight, I want you to know you were the best thing I ever did. Every choice I made that mattered, I made because of you. I love you, kid. Always will. Dad. He sealed the letter and put it in his footlocker. Then he checked his weapons and went to stand between a princess and death. The assembly hall was breathtaking. Crystalline chandeliers scattered light into rainbows. Vaulted ceilings shifted colors. 7 thrones arranged in perfect symmetry. The effect was beautiful and deeply alien. Garrett stood 10 feet from Princess Lyra's position. She wore formal robes that made her look regal and young simultaneously. Her eyes scanned the delegates with the careful attention he'd taught her. She'd learned well in 3 days. Commander Vax opened proceedings with a speech about the Treaty of Seven Stu, its history, its importance, the fragile peace it represented. Then Lyra stood to speak. Honored delegates, she began. I stand before you not as a princess, not as a daughter of empire, but as someone who has lived through war and believes in peace, who has seen what happens when we forget that our differences make us stronger, not weaker. Garrett watched the audience. Empress Lithara nodded approvingly. Even Vax seemed attentive. Only Prince Theron looked bored, contemptuous. 10 years ago, Lyra continued, our civilizations nearly destroyed each other. We came so close to mutual annihilation that movement. Garrett's training screamed at him before his conscious mind registered the threat. Velethron guard, third row, hand moving where no hand should move. Time slowed. The guard drew a plasma rifle, K-class, military grade, designed to pierce starship hulls. He aimed at Lyra. Garrett's body moved, 38 years of training compressed into 1 second of absolute clarity. Calculate trajectory, move. He threw himself between Lyra and the barrel. The universe exploded. White-hot agony tore through Garrett's chest. The plasma bolt vaporized flesh, cracked ribs, set every nerve on fire. He was dying. He knew he was dying, and all he could think was Sarah. I tried to be better. He heard Lyra scream his name. Garrett, not Mr. Callahan. His name. Like it mattered, he was falling. Strong hands, 4 fingers, cool skin caught him. Lyra's face filled his vision. Silver eyes wide with horror, tears already streaming. Stay with me, she commanded. Her voice broke. That is an order, Garrett Callahan. You do not have permission to die. Garrett tried to smile, tasted copper. Sorry, princess. Orders from higher up. Chaos erupted, security swarming, the assassin struggling, weapons fire. Lyra pulled Garrett's head into her lap, her hand pressed against the wound, futile, but she pressed anyway. You saved me, she whispered. Why? Garrett's lips moved, forming words that had no sound, but Lyra with her empathic sensitivity seemed to understand. Because you reminded me of her, because you deserved the chance she never got, because someone has to stand between good people and evil. That is what we do. His vision tunneled. Darkness creeping in, the last thing he saw was Lyra's face, determined, furious, alive. The last thing he heard was her voice. Take my blood, I do not care what the court says, take it, save him, that is an order. And then there was nothing. Dr. Zixther had been a combat surgeon for 40 years. He'd kept soldiers alive through impossible conditions. But this was different. The human's heart has stopped. He hissed, his reptilian throat sac inflating with stress. The damage is catastrophic. Princess, he cannot survive this. Lyra stood over Garrett's body, her blood and his covered her robes. Then we make him survive. It is not medically. I am giving him my blood. Lyra grabbed a ceremonial blade from her belt, cut her palm. Valethron royal blood contains nano-healers. Use it. Zixther stared. Princess transfusion between species is forbidden. You will be a holographic communication activated. Emperor Velshara appeared, Lyra's father. Lyra, if you do this, I will disown you. You will lose everything. Lyra looked at her father, at the man who'd sent her here as an expendable pawn. Then disown me, father. This man died for peace. I will not let his sacrifice be in vain. She held her bleeding hand over Garrett's chest wound. The Emperor's face twisted. You are no longer my daughter. Good. Lyra's voice was steel. Because your daughter was weak, I am something else now. The transfusion began, suddenly alarms blaring. Energy plasma between the two species created a resonance reaction, cells dying and regenerating simultaneously, a bridge forming between human and Valethron physiology. Garrett's heart beat once, twice, caught rhythm. Zixther stared at his instruments. That is medically impossible. So is everything else about tonight. Lyra said softly. She collapsed into a chair beside Garrett's bed, and she didn't leave for 14 days. The 14 days between Garrett's sacrifice and his awakening became legend, not official history, the kind that spreads through whispers, the kind that shifts how people see the universe. Because for 14 days, Princess Lyra Velshara, disowned, discredited, expendable, refused to leave the side of a dying human. Day 4. Garrett's heart stopped for the second time. Dr. Zixther had declared patients dead before, but this was different. "The resonance reaction is unstable," he hissed. "Princess, even with your blood, his body is rejecting the healing. He should have died instantly." Lyra didn't move from Garrett's bedside. Her hand remained wrapped around his. Her formal robes were gone. She wore simple medical scrubs. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. She looked nothing like a princess. "How long does he have?" she asked. "Minutes." The cardiac monitor flatlined. Before Zixther could move, Lyra stood, placed both hands on Garrett's chest directly over the scar tissue. "What are you doing?" Something instinctive. Her empathic power had always been passive, receiving. But now she pushed everything she felt into him. Gratitude, need, connection, hope. Most of all, she pushed the image she'd seen in his final moments. The memory his dying brain had broadcast, a 16-year-old girl with dark hair and her father's jaw. Sarah. She would want you to survive. She would want you to keep protecting people. Do not make her watch you die too. The monitor stayed flat. 5 seconds, 10, 15, then a single beep. Garrett's heart caught, struggled, found rhythm. Zixther stared. Impossible. Perhaps impossible is simply what we call things we do not understand yet, Lyra said. Day 8. The third cardiac arrest. This time the crash team just stood back, let Lyra work. Every attempt to explain what was happening failed. The blood resonance had created something unprecedented, a symbiotic connection that defied xenobiology. When Garrett's heart stopped the third time, Lyra placed her hands on his chest and whispered, "Come back, old man. You promised to teach me. I am not done learning." His heart restarted within seconds. Zixther updated his notes, patient survival contingent on Princess Lyra's presence and emotional state. Recommend she remain within proximity indefinitely. Note, I no longer understand biology. Day 10. Earth sent a diplomatic inquiry. Terran Defense Solutions wanted to know if they should send a replacement. Lyra's response was brief. "Mr. Callahan's contract remains active. When he wakes, the decision will be his. Until then, he remains under Valathron protection. Any attempts to remove him will be considered an act of aggression." It was the first time she'd invoked Imperial authority since her father disowned her. Commander Vax, reading the message, allowed himself a small smile. The princess was finding her spine. Dr. Zixther arrived to find Lyra in her usual position, holding Garrett's hand, talking softly about her childhood, about her brother Darian, about reforms she dreamed of implementing, about how Garrett's sacrifice had given her proof that someone believed she was worth dying for. "You know," Zixther said, running scans, "I have never seen anything like this. The bond between you is profound. It goes beyond biology, almost as if you share one life between two bodies. Is that bad? Unprecedented? Potentially problematic if one of you dies?" He checked readouts. "His brain activity is increasing. Princess, I believe he is waking up." Lyra squeezed Garrett's hand tighter. Garrett's eyes moved beneath closed lids. Fingers twitched. Heart monitor shifted from deep unconsciousness to something more aware. "Garrett," Lyra leaned close, "can you hear me? You have been out for 14 days. Your heart stopped 3 times, but you are alive. You are safe, and I am here." Garrett's eyes opened. The meeting with the 7 leaders happened as Lyra described. Each offered rewards, each expressed gratitude, but Garrett's response changed everything. "I just want to keep doing my job, protecting her, if she'll have me." The words were simple, unadorned, exactly what a Montana rancher's son turned Marine would say. But Commander Vax stepped forward, his obsidian face unreadable. "Before we proceed," he said, his crystalline voice heavy, "I must address a pressing matter. Princess Lyra Velshara, I am placing you under arrest pending investigation by the Galactic Council." Silence. Lyra stood slowly, her face betrayed nothing. but Garrett felt her hand tighten around his. On what charges? Conspiracy to assassinate yourself. The words hung like a death sentence. Empress Lithara's features hardened. Commander, that is a serious accusation. Vax pulled up holographic displays, security logs, financial records. The assassination was enabled by someone with knowledge of our security protocols. Analysis shows the access codes originated from Princess Lyra's personal terminal. Furthermore, financial records show payments from anonymous accounts to Obsidian Syndicate intermediaries. Traced back, they ultimately originate from Valathron Imperial funds Princess Lyra has access to. That is impossible, Lyra said. I never... Furthermore, these payments were made in the week leading up to the summit. Garrett tried to sit up. Pain exploded. Lyra's hand pushed him back. Commander! Garrett growled. Why would she stage an attempt on her own life that required me to die saving her, to gain sympathy, to discredit Prince Theron, to position herself as a martyr, and to gain the loyalty of a human whose sacrifice would make her appear worth dying for? His eyes shifted to Garrett. I am sorry, Mr. Callahan, but you were used. Like hell I was. The evidence is substantial enough to warrant investigation, Vax said. By council law, I must detain any delegate suspected of crimes against the treaty. Lyra looked at each leader, reading them with her empathy. She saw doubt, confusion, but also fear. Someone was afraid. Her eyes landed on Senator Kavros, the six-legged Arachnix diplomat, loudest supporter of the treaty, who'd praised Garrett's sacrifice. His emotional signature was wrong, not fear, something flat, like an echo rather than the real thing. Before she could process it, security moved into position. I will cooperate, Lyra said clearly. I have nothing to hide. The truth will prove my innocence. I believe you, Princess, Empress Lithara said softly. Lyra was escorted out. She looked back once at Garrett. Their eyes met. Through the blood bond, she sent a thought, trust me, I have a plan. Then she was gone. Lyra was confined to luxury quarters, gilded cage. The council appointed a tribunal. 3 judges from neutral kingdoms. Testimony would begin in 4 days. 4 days to prove she hadn't orchestrated her own assassination. By day 16, Garrett was mobile, painful, slow, but mobile. By day 17, he'd reviewed every security log, the access codes supposedly from Lyra's terminal, the financial transactions, the guard who'd been a clone. Clone technology was key. Only one organization had perfected it, the Obsidian Syndicate. Criminal enterprise operating in shadows between stars, weapons dealers, slavers, political manipulators, but something didn't add up. Clone technology required months of preparation. DNA samples, growth acceleration, memory imprinting. You couldn't just order a clone, which meant whoever hired the syndicate had been planning this before Lyra even knew she'd attend the summit. His comm terminal chimed, encrypted, eyes only, anonymous, Mr. Callahan. If you want to help Princess Lyra access security node Delta 7 at 0200 hours, come alone. Tell no one. They are watching. Garrett stared at the message. Every instinct screamed trap. But if there was even a chance, he deleted the message and began preparing. Security node Delta 7 was a maintenance junction. Automated systems, minimal monitoring, perfect for a meeting or a murder. Garrett arrived at 0145 hours. Early. Position yourself. Know your exits. Control the engagement. He found a shadow and waited. At 0200 hours, a figure emerged. Tall, wrapped in thermal cloak, moving with military precision. The figure stopped 10 feet away. Garrett Callahan, you are either very brave or very stupid. I've been called both. Garrett kept his hand near his sidearm. You have information about Princess Lyra. I have information about who framed her and why. The figure pulled up a projector, images flickered, security footage, DNA analysis. The clone that attacked the princess was not a one-off. It was a test, a proof of concept. For what? For replacing key political figures across all 7 kingdoms. Obsidian Syndicate has been developing this technology for 5 years. They have infiltrated governments, militaries, corporations, building an army of replacements, Perfect duplicates who do exactly what the syndicate commands. Garrett felt ice in his gut. How many? 23 confirmed replacements currently active. Senators, generals, administrators. We suspect dozens more. Who's we? The figure hesitated, then pulled back the hood. Commander Vax's obsidian face stared back. Garrett's hand moved to his weapon. Wait, Vax said quickly. I know what you think, but I am not your enemy. I arrested Princess Lyra because I had no choice. My family, my mate, and 2 children were taken 3 days before the summit. The syndicate sent a message: accuse the princess or watch them die. His voice cracked. I chose wrong. I protected my family and condemned an innocent. I am a coward. Garrett didn't lower his weapon. Prove you're not syndicate. I cannot, but I can give you this. Vax pulled a data chip from his armor. Everything I have collected. Names, locations, financial trails. If you analyze the access codes supposedly from Princess Lyra's terminal, you will find they were routed through my system. I was the breach point. They used me to frame her. Why tell me now? Because I contacted the syndicate 3 hours ago. Told them I had intelligence. Intelligence I would trade for my family's return. Vax's golden eyes were hollow. They sent me coordinates. When I arrived, I found 3 stasis pods. My mate, my children, all clones, the real ones. He stopped. I'm sorry. Sorry does not return them. Sorry does not fix what I have done, but perhaps justice can. Vax held out the data chip. Help Princess Lyra. Expose the syndicate. Make my cowardice mean something. Garrett took the chip. Where are you going? To resign, to face consequences, to try to live with what I have done. Vax pulled his hood up. The princess is a good person, Callahan. Better than I deserved. Tell her I am sorry. He disappeared into the tunnels. Garrett stood alone, holding information that could crack open a conspiracy. He uploaded the chip and headed back. Time to go to work. The assembly hall converted into courtroom. 3 judges, 7 delegations as observers. Garrett in the back row. Lyra stood before the tribunal in formal robes. No restraints, no guards. She'd insisted. If she was going to be tried, she would face it with dignity. The prosecution presented evidence. Access codes, financial transactions, timeline showing motive and opportunity, character witnesses testifying she'd always been ambitious. It was damning, thorough, almost believable. Then Lyra spoke. Honored tribunal, I will not waste your time with appeals to emotion. I will present facts. She pulled up holographic displays. The access codes supposedly from my terminal. Examine them. The timestamp shows execution at 0347 hours on day 1. At that time, I was in the training facility with Mr. Callahan. There are 14 cameras that captured our presence. Security footage played. Timestamp matched perfectly. Furthermore, the financial transactions, traced to Valathron Imperial accounts, but not my accounts. These funds were drawn from discretionary budgets I have no access to. Only 3 people do. My father, my brother Crown Prince Theron, and the Imperial Treasurer who reports to my brother. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Finally, consider motive. I supposedly staged this to gain sympathy. But what did I gain? I lost my inheritance, lost my position, lost everything except the loyalty of one human who chose to die for me. Her eyes found Garrett. If this was conspiracy, it was the worst planned conspiracy in history. I traded a throne for the life of a friend, and I would make that trade again. Judge Shard, a being of living crystal, studied Lyra. Princess, your defense is compelling, but it does not explain how the breach occurred. If not you, then who? I do not know, but I intend to find out. That is not... Garrett stood. Your Honors, I have evidence relevant to this case. Mr. Callahan, you are not part of these proceedings. With respect, I'm the one who took the bullet. That makes it my business. He walked down the aisle carefully. 3 days ago, Commander Vax contacted me. He confessed the security breach originated from his terminal, that he was coerced by Obsidian Syndicate who held his family hostage. He provided data proving the princess was framed. He held up the data chip. Access logs showing external infiltration. Communication intercepts between syndicate operatives discussing the frame. DNA analysis of the supposed guard. Garrett loaded data into the tribunal display. Clone technology requires months of preparation. Genetic samples collected well in advance. This assassination wasn't planned in a week. It was planned over months. And the target wasn't just Princess Lyra. It was the treaty itself. Someone wants us to tear ourselves apart. Judge Shard examined the data. Her crystalline features shifted colors. This evidence is substantial. Where is Commander Vax? He resigned, gone to face consequences. Garrett met Lyra's eyes. But there's more. The data contains a list of 23 individuals across 7 kingdoms who've been replaced by syndicate clones. He pulled up one specific file. Senator Kavros Nethys. Replaced 6 months ago. In the chamber, Senator Kavros stood slowly. His compound eyes fixed on Garrett, on the data, on truth laid bare. Well, Kavros said. His voice had changed. No longer diplomatic, cold, mechanical. This is unfortunate. Senator, Empress Lithara stood. Is this true? True. Kavros laughed. Wrong. Distorted. Truth is whatever serves purpose, and the purpose is chaos. His body convulsed. Mechanical sounds whirred. Before anyone could react, the Kavros clone detonated. Not explosively. Electromagnetic pulse fried electronics in 30 feet. Holograms died. Lights flickered. Security crashed. In confusion, the clone bolted for the exit. Garrett moved on instinct. 38 years of training versus a 62-year-old body held together by alien blood and spite. He intercepted the clone at the doorway. They collided. Garrett's chest screamed. He ignored it, got his hands on the clone's armor, wrenched sideways using leverage. The clone went down. Garrett followed. Stay down, the clone laughed. You have no idea what is coming. The princess, you, this precious treaty, all already lost. We have infiltrated everything. And when the time comes, your civilizations will tear each other apart and thank us. Then it bit down on something. Poison. Within seconds, the clone was dead. Garrett stood slowly, breathing hard, chest on fire. Worth it. Lyra appeared at his side. Are you all right? Define all right. You are bleeding through your shirt. Story of my life lately. He looked at Judge Shard. I'm guessing charges are dropped. Judge Shard inclined her head. All charges dismissed. Princess Lyra, you are free, and you have our apologies. Lyra didn't celebrate. She looked at Garrett, at the data, at the dead clone. This is bigger than we thought. Yeah, it usually is. Lyra couldn't sleep. Tomorrow they would plan the assault on Tartarus. Tomorrow she would face the organization that tried to destroy everything. She should be terrified. Instead, she felt ready. 3 weeks ago, she'd been expendable. The one no one took seriously. Now she was leading a strike team into enemy territory. Garrett had done that. Taught her that leadership wasn't about birth or title. It was about choice. She looked at her reflection. Saw not a princess, not the third daughter, a guardian. Tomorrow would prove whether Garrett's faith was justified. She intended to make damn sure it was. Lyra's comm terminal chimed. Private encrypted channel, Valathron Royal Frequency. She almost didn't answer. Her father had disowned her, but curiosity won. The hologram wasn't her father. It was Theron. Her brother looked wrong, haggard, dark circles, none of his usual imperious confidence. Lyra, he said. His voice cracked. Come to gloat? No, I came to apologize. He looked down. The assassination. I didn't hire them. I swear on Darian's memory. Lyra's empathy flared. She sensed truth, or manipulation. Then who did? I don't know. But 3 days before the summit, I received a message. Same as you. Old Valathron. Threatening mother. They said if I didn't cooperate with security adjustments, they'd kill her. He looked up. I thought I was protecting her. I gave them access codes, financial authorization. I thought I was saving family. Instead, I nearly got you killed. Lyra studied his face. Why tell me now? Because Craven's forces sent me another message today, proof of life. Except it wasn't Mother. It was a clone. They'd already killed her, 6 months ago. His voice broke. Everything I did betraying you, endangering the treaty, was for nothing. She was already dead. Through the blood bond, Garrett stirred in his quarters. Lyra felt his presence, support. I don't know if I can forgive you, Lyra said carefully. I'm not asking forgiveness. I'm asking for a chance to make it right. Let me help you stop them. How do I know you're real, not another clone? Theron smiled sadly. Remember when we were children, Darian made us chocolate dust from the kitchens. You'd eat yours in 3 bites. I'd save mine for weeks until it went stale. You said I was an idiot who deserved stale chocolate. Lyra finished, a memory only real Theron would have. All right, I believe you. What do you have? Everything. Locations, codes, personnel files. If you're planning to hit Tartarus, you'll need this. He transmitted data. Lyra's terminal lit up. Thank you. Lyra, I really am sorry for everything. I know now, let's make them pay. The hologram cut out. Lyra sat in darkness processing. Her brother had been manipulated, used, just like Vax. The Syndicate didn't just replace people, they turned families against each other. Tomorrow that ended. The briefing room was cramped, 6 people planning an assault that could save the treaty or collapse it. Garrett stood at the table's head, still moving carefully, still feeling every breath, but standing. Leading. Tartarus is a fortress, he said, pulling up schematics. Triple-layered hull, automated defense grid, internal security that makes max security prisons look like daycare. It houses the Syndicate's cloning facilities, command structure, and approximately 200 personnel. Most of them clones. Empress Lithara studied the display. An impossible target. Yeah, which is why they won't expect us. Garrett highlighted 3 points. We go in hard and fast. 3 teams. Team 1, me and Princess Lyra, command center. We need General Craven alive. He's the only one who knows the full list of replacements. Lyra nodded. She'd spent 3 days training, learning everything Garrett could teach. She wasn't a soldier, but she was competent, determined. Team 2, Commander Vax and Prince Thorian. You infiltrate detention. If they have hostages, we extract them. That's priority. Vax had returned 2 days ago, broken, haunted, but willing to make amends. The council had suspended his commission. He didn't care. Said he'd go as civilian. Garrett had told him he was damn right he would, then gave him a rifle. Team 3, Empress Lithara and Elite Guard Thorn. He nodded to the Valathron warrior veteran of old wars, silent and lethal. You destroy cloning facilities, all of them. We can't leave Syndicate with ability to replace people. Reinforcements, Lithara asked. Can't. 23 confirmed clones in power positions. We don't know who else is compromised. We bring military, we risk tipping off Syndicate. They'll scatter, destroy evidence, kill hostages. We go quiet. 6 people. 1 shot. No backup. A suicide mission, Thorne said, voice gravelly. I'm describing Tuesday. Garrett met each person's eyes. I won't lie. Bad odds, bad situation. Some of us might not come back, but if we don't stop them now, Syndicate triggers a war that kills billions. So yeah, suicide. But the right kind, the kind that means something. Lyra stood. I am going. Before anyone objects, understand they used my name to sow discord, framed me to weaken the treaty. This is personal, I will see it through. Princess, Vax started. No, Garrett taught me leadership is not standing behind others. It is standing with them. I will not ask you to risk what I am not willing to risk. Silence. Then Empress Lithara stood. I have lived 300 years, seen 12 wars. If I die stopping the 13th, I will consider it a good death. Prince Thorian rose. My people are water. We flow where needed. I flow toward Tartarus. Vax stood without words. His eyes said enough. Thorne checked weapons and grunted approval. Garrett looked at this impossible team and thought Sarah would have loved this. All right. We launch in 4 hours. Get your gear, say your goodbyes, and remember, no matter what happens, we make it count. The stealth corvette cut through the asteroid field like shadow through shadows. No active sensors, no communications. 6 people breathing recycled air and contemplating mortality. Garrett sat in the troop bay checking his rifle. Old habit, kept his hands busy. Lyra sat beside him, quiet since launch. Not scared quiet, focused. Garrett, yeah, if this goes badly, and it won't. But if it does, she turned to look at him. I want you to know these 3 weeks have meant more to me than 28 years of palace politics. You gave me purpose, the belief I could be more than what I was born to be. Garrett felt something crack in his chest. Princess, you were always more. You just needed someone to show you the mirror. You showed me what it means to be willing to die for something. And I understand now why you did it. Why you threw yourself in front of that bolt. Why's that? Because some things are worth more than survival. Some things are worth everything. She took his hand, 4 fingers wrapping around 5, blood bond pulsing warm. If I die in there, I die knowing I stood for something. That is a gift. You're not dying. Neither are you. Damn right. Silence. Tell me about Montana, Lyra said. What? Your home. You mentioned it. The mountains, the ranch. Tell me. Garrett leaned back, closed his eyes. Big sky country, the sky goes on forever. You stand on the ranch and look up, and there's nothing between you and God but air and possibility. Mountains to the west, the Rockies, old, strong. Been there longer than humanity. Will be there long after. It sounds beautiful. It is. Sarah used to say she could feel the universe breathing when she stood on the porch at night. Made her feel small and huge simultaneously. Small because the universe was so big, huge because she was part of it. He opened his eyes. I'm going to take you there someday. When this is over. Show you Earth when humans aren't trying to impress aliens, just home. Lyra smiled. I would like that very much. The ship's AI chimed. Approaching target, 30 seconds. Garrett stood, checked his rifle one last time, looked at his team. All right, remember the plan. Stay sharp, stay together. If things go sideways, adapt and overcome. Marines have a saying, improvise, adapt, overcome. Today we all be Marines. Oorah, Vax said, trying the human battle cry. Awkward in his crystalline voice, but the spirit was there. Close enough. Garrett sealed his helmet. Let's go to work. Breaching Tartarus was textbook. Plasma torches through outer hull. Minimal noise. No alarms. Syndicate confidence had made them sloppy. Inside industrial corridors. Harsh lighting. Function not comfort. Garrett took point rifle up, moving with careful deliberation. They reached the first junction. 3 corridors. This is where we split, Garrett whispered. Team 2 left. Team 3 right. Radio silence from here. Meet at extraction in 60 minutes. If someone doesn't show, assume dead and leave. No heroics. We get mission done. Clear. 5 voices acknowledged. Good hunting. They split. Garrett and Lyra moved deeper. Encountered first patrol at Corridor 7. 4 guards, clone soldiers with blank expressions. Garrett dropped 2 with precise headshots. Lyra took 1, her aim had improved. Garrett finished the 4th. 4 down, keep moving. They passed laboratories, storage facilities, living quarters that looked like cells. This wasn't research, it was a factory. Industrial-scale production of replacement people. The command center door appeared, reinforced. Biometric locks, automated turrets. Well, Garrett said, this is going to be loud. He pulled plasma grenades, cooked them 2 seconds, threw. Explosions shredded the door and turrets. Garrett was moving before smoke cleared. Through the breach. Rifle up. Scanning. The command center was larger than schematics indicated. Banks of monitors showing every corner of the station. Tactical displays tracking ship movements across 7 systems. And at the center, standing behind a console, was General Wade Craven. He looked older than his photo, gray hair, deep lines, but his posture was military, dangerous. Garrett Callahan, Craven said, voice sandpaper and smoke. I wondered when you'd show. Couldn't let the girl face this alone, could you? Always the protector. Always the hero. Garrett kept rifle trained on Craven's center mass. It's over, General. We've got evidence. We've got names. The council knows. Surrender and maybe you get a trial. Craven laughed. Evidence, the council. You don't understand what we've built. We're not some criminal syndicate you can arrest. We're an inevitability. Chaos is profitable. War is profitable. And we've made ourselves indispensable to both sides. Lyra stepped forward. You are a monster who twisted science into slavery. There is nothing inevitable about evil, only evil allowed to flourish. Well said, Princess. Craven's eyes shifted. Did Callahan mention how I know him about Nevada, about the lab he destroyed? He told me he stopped illegal experiments, saved children you were using as test subjects. Saved? Craven's laugh was ugly. He released unfinished prototypes. Those children were Generation 1, flawed, unstable. Most died within months. The survivors... He shook his head. Let's just say Callahan's mercy killed more than my experiments ever would. Garrett's finger tightened on the trigger. You're lying. I checked the records, the children from Nevada. Where are they now? How many are still alive? Silence. Because Garrett didn't know. He'd saved them and handed them to social services and tried not to think about it. That's what I thought, Craven said. You see, Callahan, you and I are more alike than you want to admit. We both do terrible things for greater goods. The difference is I'm honest. The difference, Garrett said coldly, is I sleep at night. Do you? Or do you wake screaming your daughter's name? Craven leaned forward. Yes, I know about Sarah. Terrible thing, terrorism. So random, so preventable. Something in Garrett's chest went cold. What did you say? The Denver spaceport bombing. 5 years ago. 347 dead, including Sarah Callahan, age 16. Tragic, unless it wasn't random at all. Lyra's hand found Garrett's shoulder, steadying. He is trying to manipulate you. Am I? Craven pulled up displays, security footage, encrypted communications, financial transactions. The Denver bombing was a test, proof of concept for using terror to destabilize first contact negotiations. We needed to know if humanity would react with fear or resolve. Your daughter was simply in the wrong place at the right time for our purposes. Garrett's world narrowed to the man in front of him, the man who'd just admitted to killing Sarah, who'd turned his daughter into a data point. His finger moved to the trigger. Garrett! Lyra's voice cut through red haze. Don't! We need him alive! He killed my daughter. I know, and he will face justice, but not like this. Not with you becoming what he is. Garrett's hand trembled. 38 years of discipline warring with 5 years of grief. Then Craven smiled. That's right, Callahan. Be a good soldier. Follow orders. Let the princess save you from movement from side corridors. 20 clone soldiers emerging. Syndicate security flooding the command center. But not just any clones. The lead figure stepped into light. Familiar gray hair, familiar weathered face, familiar eyes that had seen too much death. Garrett Callahan's perfect duplicate smiled at him. Hello, old man. You're looking rough. The world stopped. Garrett stared at himself, at a clone that moved with his mannerisms, carried his weapons, wore his face like a stolen mask. How? DNA sample was easy, clone Garrett said. Blood from medical bay after you almost died. We've been growing this version for 2 weeks. Accelerated growth. Memory imprinting from surveillance. Not perfect, but close enough. Craven's voice carried satisfaction. You see, Princess, this is what we do. We don't replace world leaders. We replace the people protecting them. The guards, the advisors, the loyal soldiers. We become shield and knife simultaneously. Lyra raised her weapon, covering Garrett's flank. There are 2 of you, 20 of them. The mathematics are not favorable. No, Garrett agreed. Mind racing, tactical assessment, odds, options, all bad. But they need us alive, otherwise they would have shot already. Correct. Craven stepped from behind the console. I want the blood bond. the resonance reaction between human and Valathron physiology. If I can replicate what happened between you and Princess Lyra, I can create clones that are truly alive, truly conscious. The most valuable commodity in the universe, artificial life with genuine autonomy. You want to mass-produce slaves who think they're real. I want to create a workforce that doesn't realize it's being controlled. So much cleaner than traditional slavery. Craven pulled a neural scanner. Now, you're going to come with me to the medical lab. We'll harvest what we need, and in exchange I'll let your teams go. Vax and his rescue mission, Lithara and her demolition run. They leave safely, you stay. Simple trade. No. Lyra's voice was absolute. We came together, we leave together. Princess, this is not your decision. It is exactly my decision. She looked at Garrett. Through blood bond, he felt her resolve, unshakable. We have spent 3 weeks building something unprecedented. Trust between species, loyalty forged in sacrifice. I will not trade that for survival. If we must die, we die, proving some bonds cannot be broken. Clone Garrett chuckled. Touching, but the old man's smarter than that. He knows when he's beaten. Garrett looked at his clone, at Craven, at 20 weapons trained on them. Then he looked at Lyra and made the same choice he'd made 3 weeks ago. You're right, he said to Clone Garrett. I do know when I'm beaten. He dropped his rifle. Lyra's eyes widened. Garrett, no. It's okay, Princess. We knew this was one way. He held up his hands. I'll go with you, Craven. Take what you need, but you let her go. You let all of them go. That's the deal. Garrett, I am ordering you. Sorry, Princess. I don't take orders. He smiled at her, pushed everything through blood bond, gratitude, respect, the closest thing to love a broken man could feel. You've got 60 seconds after I'm gone. Use them. Get to extraction. Lead these people out. Be the leader I know you are. I will not leave you. Yeah, you will. Because that's what leaders do. They make hard choices. He turned to Craven. Clock's ticking, General. We doing this or not? Craven studied him. You're planning something. I'm planning to keep my people alive. That's what Marines do. Long moment. No one moved. Then Clone Garrett stepped forward. I'll take him to medical. You handle the princess. No, Craven said slowly. You stay here. I'll take him personally. I want to make sure he doesn't try anything. The explosion cut him off. Not close, deeper in station, cloning facilities, where Empress Lithara and Thorn had been sent. Emergency klaxons screamed. Garrett smiled. That's my cue. He moved, not toward Craven, toward Clone Garrett, closed distance in 2 steps, grabbed the clone's rifle, yanked. The clone was strong, identical muscle memory, but Garrett had something his duplicate didn't. Desperation. He twisted, used leverage old judo Sarah had taught him. Clone went down. Garrett had the rifle. Spun started firing. 20 clone soldiers, 20 targets. He dropped 6 before they could react. Lyra was moving too, grabbed her rifle, covered his flank. The command center dissolved into chaos. Another explosion, closer, detention level. Where Vax and Thorian were freeing hostages, Garrett kept firing, advancing, pushing toward Craven. The general had pulled a sidearm, was shooting back. But he was scientist playing soldier. Aim was terrible. Garrett put 2 rounds in Craven's shoulder. General went down. Clone Garrett tackled him from behind. They hit deck hard, rolled, fought with identical technique. Clone trying to kill, Garrett trying to survive. Sometimes that made all the difference. But Clone Garrett was younger, faster, without the plasma wound damage. He got Garrett in a chokehold, the one from Marine CQC training 30 years ago. The one that had saved his life in Kabul. You know the difference between us, Clone Garrett hissed. I don't have your weakness. I don't carry the guilt. Sarah's death doesn't haunt me. Your wife's murder doesn't wake me screaming. I'm you without the pain. Better. Garrett's vision tunneled. Oxygen deprivation, but something in Clone Garrett's words sparked fury. You're right, Garrett gasped. You don't have pain, and that makes you nothing. He threw weight backward. Old judo. The move Sarah taught him when she was 14, the one she'd used to flip him in their Montana living room while her mother laughed. It's not about strength, Dad. It's about using their momentum. Clone Garrett went flying. Garrett rolled to feet, chest screaming, blood bond with Lyra pulsing warmth, giving strength that wasn't his alone. The pain makes me real, Garrett said. The grief, the guilt, the memories of everyone I couldn't save. That's what makes me human. You're just meat and circuits pretending. Clone Garrett lunged. Garrett sidestepped, let momentum carry him past, grabbed back of head, slammed into control console once. This is for Sarah. Twice. This is for all the people you bastards killed. 3 times. This is for everyone who thought I was too old, too broken, too used up to matter. 4 times. And this, 5 times, Clone stopped struggling, is for me, for proving I'm more than my worst day. Garrett let go. Clone collapsed, lifeless. Garrett stood over his own corpse, shaking, bleeding from reopened wounds. Lyra was there, hand on shoulder. Are you all right? No. He looked at her. But I'm alive. That has to count for something. It counts for everything. The third explosion was massive. Entire station shuddered. Hull breaches, atmosphere venting, emergency bulkheads slamming. Garrett's comm crackled. Lithara's voice distorted. Cloning facilities destroyed, but we triggered station's self-destruct. You have 10 minutes. Copy. All teams exfil now. They grabbed Craven wounded, bleeding alive, and dragged him toward extraction. Behind them, Tartarus was dying. Fire, explosions, sound of a station tearing apart. They reached docking bay with 6 minutes remaining. Vax was already there with Prince Thorian and 3 hostages. No, clone hostages, Vax's family, perfect replicas used as leverage, the real ones long dead. Vax stood over them, weapon raised, face twisted with grief and rage. Vax! Garrett shouted. We need to move! These are not my family, Vax said, voice broken. But they look like them, sound like them. How do I? You don't. Garrett put hand on crystalline warrior's shoulder. You let them go. Let them choose what they want to be. Because that's what makes someone real. Choice, not programming. Vax stared at the clones, his mate, his children, all looking back with confusion and fear. Then he lowered weapon. Come with us. You are not prisoners. You are what remains. And that is enough. They ran, all of them, 6 soldiers, 3 clones, 1 war criminal, racing through dying station while time counted down. Lithara and Thorn were at ship, engines hot, ramp down. 30 seconds, Lithara shouted. They piled into troop bay. Garrett was last aboard, turned to look back at Tartarus one final time. Saw figures in windows, clone soldiers, trapped, doomed. Some raised their hands. Not surrender. Goodbye. Garrett saluted. Old Marine habit, honoring the dead and dying even when they weren't quite alive. Then ramp closed and they were accelerating away. Tartarus exploded 6 seconds later. White light, expanding debris field. Syndicate's main base erased from existence. In troop bay, no one spoke. They'd won, but the cost was written on every face. Grand Assembly Hall had been rebuilt, larger, room for more delegates. Because after Tartarus, something unexpected happened. Unity, clone infiltration had shocked all 7 kingdoms, not into paranoia, into solidarity. If Syndicate could replace anyone, everyone needed to watch everyone, trust but verify. Treaty of 7 Stars wasn't just renewed, it was expanded. The Guardian Protocol, joint peacekeeping force, drawing from all 7 civilizations, dedicated to preventing conflicts before they started, protecting innocent, standing between darkness and light, and standing at its head wearing insignia of Ambassador General was Princess Lyra Velshara. No longer expendable, no longer the 3rd daughter nobody noticed, the leader who'd walked into hell and brought everyone back. Almost everyone. Garrett sat in back of Assembly Hall in wheelchair. Doctors said he'd walk again, eventually. Final battle with his clone had reopened every wound from plasma bolt. Torn things barely healed. He'd spent 3 weeks in surgery. Again. But he was alive, and Lyra had not left his side. Now she stood before 7 kingdoms giving inaugural address as Ambassador General. We have learned, she said, voice carrying, that threats come not just from armies and weapons, they come from division, from distrust, from allowing fear to make us see enemies where we should see allies. She paused, looked directly at Garrett. I was taught by a human, a species we considered fragile, weak, insignificant, that true strength is not absence of vulnerability. It is the choice to be vulnerable for something greater than yourself. He threw himself between me and death without hesitation, not because of orders, not for reward, but because it was right. That is the foundation of Guardian protocol, not power, not technology, but the simple choice to protect others, even at cost to ourselves. Garrett felt something warm in chest. Not pain. Something else. Pride. Lyra continued. Today we launch something unprecedented. A force dedicated to peace rather than war. To prevention rather than reaction. We will fail sometimes. We will make mistakes, but we will try. Because trying is what separates civilization from chaos. Applause. From all 7 delegations. After ceremony, Lyra found Garrett in medical bay. How do you feel? She asked. Like I got hit by plasma bolt, twice. She laughed. Doctors say you will never return to full combat capability. Good, I'm 62. I should be fishing in Montana, not fighting clone armies. About that. Lyra pulled up datapad. Guardian protocol needs instructors, people to train next generation, to teach them how to think, how to survive. How to be more than warriors. Garrett looked at her. You're offering me a job. I am offering you a legacy. Garrett, you could train hundreds of Guardians. Pass on everything you know, create something that lasts longer than any battle. He thought about Sarah, about the daughter who'd wanted to change the world, about how teaching someone else was the closest he'd come to teaching her. Will you be insufferable if I say yes? Absolutely. Then I accept. Lyra smiled, that impossible smile that had first made him think of his daughter. Welcome to Guardian Protocol, Instructor Callahan. One condition. Name it. When this settles, when we've caught our breath, you come to Montana, see where I'm from, meet the mountains, deal, deal. She held out hand, 4 fingers. He grasped it with 5, blood bonded, friend to friend, human and Valathron, Guardian and Guardian. Training facility was purpose-built, state-of-art, room for 200 cadets from all 7 species. Classrooms, tactical simulators, combat ranges, medical facilities, and in center a memorial, statue of a human throwing himself between energy bolt and Valathron princess, bronze and crystal, larger than life. Inscription. He taught us that strength without compassion is tyranny, and compassion without strength is weakness. He was both. First Guardian, Garrett Callahan. Garrett stood before it on his first day as chief instructor, leaning on cane. His students, 40 cadets in inaugural class, representing 6 species, stood at attention. I know what that statue says, Garrett told them, and I know what stories say, that I'm some kind of hero, that I saved the galaxy. He turned to face them. I'm not. I'm a 62-year-old man who made a choice, one choice, to stand between someone I cared about and danger. That's it. No magic, no destiny, just a choice. He limped down line, making eye contact. Every one of you will face that choice someday. Maybe tomorrow, maybe 20 years from now. And in that moment you'll decide what kind of person are you. The kind who runs or the kind who stands. He stopped, looked back at statue. Here's the secret they don't tell you about being hero. It hurts, it costs. You don't get to walk away clean, but you get to walk away knowing you did something that mattered, that you were more than biology and circumstance, that you chose to be better. Silence. Then a human cadet, young eager, reminded Garrett of Sarah's raised hand. Sir, what if we're scared? Garrett smiled. Then you're honest. Fear's not the enemy. Fear keeps you alive. The enemy is letting fear make your choices. He looked at all of them. You're all going to be scared. You're going to fail. You're going to question whether you're good enough. And some days you won't be. But that's okay. Because being Guardian isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up, trying, standing when everyone else runs. He gestured to statue. I'm old, broken, held together by alien blood and stubbornness, but I'm here, teaching, building something that outlasts me. That's my legacy, not the sacrifice, this you, next generation who'll make hard choices. A crystalline cadet spoke. What was hardest choice you ever made, sir? Garrett thought about plasma bolts and clone armies, about daughters lost and princesses saved. Living, he said finally. After my daughter died, hardest choice was deciding to keep going, to find new purpose, to believe I could still matter. Every day I chose to live was harder than dying would have been. But here's the thing, those hard choices make you who you are. They forge you. And when the moment comes, when someone needs you to stand between them and darkness, you'll be ready. Because you've already survived the hardest thing. He straightened, ignored pain in chest. This is Guardian Protocol Academy. For next year, I'm going to break you down and build you back up. I'm going to teach you how to think under pressure, how to survive when survival seems impossible, how to lead when everyone else is lost. And most importantly, I'm going to teach you that your species, your background, your past, none of that defines you. Your choices do. Clear? Yes, sir. 40 voices, different species, one purpose. Outstanding. Let's get started. Garrett knew it was coming. Doctors had given him 6 months. That was 8 months ago. Stubborn to the end, he'd insisted on going home. Montana, the ranch, where sky was bigger than God and mountains remembered when world was young. Lyra came. Of course she came. She'd requested leave from Guardian Protocol. Spent last 2 weeks at his bedside reading, talking about cadets, about missions, about peace they'd built. You should be working, Garrett said, voice barely whisper. Plasma damage had finally caught up. Protocol needs you. Protocol can wait. Lyra held his hand. 4 fingers wrapped around 5, blood bond fading. She could feel it, his life flickering like candle in storm. You taught me mission second, people first. Garrett managed smile. I taught you too well. They sat in comfortable silence, watching sunset over Rockies through bedroom window. Sarah's room. She'd insisted on west-facing window so she could watch sunset every night. Tell me about her, Lyra said softly. One more time. Sarah. Garrett's eyes grew distant. She was everything, smart, stubborn, believed she could change the world, and she did, just not the way we expected. If she hadn't died, I wouldn't have taken job protecting you, wouldn't have built protocol. Her death gave my life new meaning. Strange how that works. She would be proud. I hope so. He squeezed Lyra's hand, weak. You know what the funny thing is? I spent 5 years thinking I'd failed her, that losing her meant I'd failed as father. But then I met you, and you taught me that sometimes our greatest failures lead to our greatest purposes. Garrett, let me finish. He coughed, blood-flecked lips. You saved me, Lyra, just as much as I saved you. More maybe. You gave me reason to keep going, to be better, to build something that outlasts pain. That's a gift I can never repay. Lyra's tears fell onto joined hands. You repaid it 1,000 times over. Every cadet you trained, every guardian you inspired, every piece you helped build, that is your legacy. Our legacy, Garrett corrected. You and me, human and Valathron, proof different species can build something beautiful. His breathing labored, each breath a fight. Lyra, I'm here. Tell them, he struggled for air. Tell the Guardians to stand, always stand, when everyone else runs. That's what makes us what we are. I will. I promise. Good. His eyes closed. I'm tired. So tired. Then rest. I'll be right here. I know. Thank you. For everything. No, Garrett. Thank you. His breathing slowed, shallowed. Blood bond stretched thin. One last breath. Then silence. Lyra felt it. The moment his heart stopped. The moment bond snapped. The moment Galaxy lost one of its greatest guardians. She sat with him until morning, holding hand, watching sunrise over Montana, and she whispered promises to Dawn, promises to honor memory, to protect what they'd built, to stand when others ran. always. Statue of Garrett Callahan has been replicated at every Guardian facility. Bronze and crystal. Man throwing himself between danger and innocence. First Guardian. Cadets still study his tactics, his philosophy. His choice to protect Princess, who became leader, who changed everything. And every year on anniversary of Tartarus, Guardian Protocol holds moment of silence. For Garrett, for the 16 who died at that colony 18 months after Tartarus. For every Guardian who made hard choice. For everyone who stood. Because that's what Guardian Protocol is built on. Not weapons, not technology. Simple truth that some things are worth protecting, some people are worth dying for, and some choices echo across generations. Garrett Callahan made one choice. To stand between Plasma Bolt and Princess. That choice created ripples. Those ripples became waves. Those waves changed Galaxy. One choice, one man, one moment when he didn't think, just acted, just stood, and that made all the difference. Present day. On windswept Montana hillside, 2 headstones stand side by side under big sky. Garrett Thaddeus Callahan, 2115-2187 Marine. Guardian, teacher, friend. He stood when others ran. Sarah Callahan, 2166-2182. Daughter, dreamer, forever loved, father and daughter, together under stars, under mountains that remember everything. And on clear nights when wind blows just right, you can almost hear it, a voice. Gravel in Montana and 38 years of seeing too much. Teaching. Stand when others run, choose when others hesitate, protect when others abandon. That's what makes you Guardian, not strength, not power, choice. The lesson continues, the legacy endures, the Guardians stand always.